You're an interesting man, Mr. Scamander. Just like your suitcase, I think there's much more to you than meets the eye. Kicked out of Hogwarts, endangering human life with a beast. Yet one of your teachers argued strongly against your expulsion. I wonder, what makes Albus Dumbledore so fond of you, Mr. Scamander?
First trip to America?
Yes. Must get that fixed.
Anything edible in there?
No.
Any livestock?
No.
Welcome to New York.
No human could do what this thing is capable of.
What the hell is in that suitcase? Basket case. I mean, no, it's not really basket case, but trust me, that would have made this movie much more interesting than what we actually got. Because, yeah, that looks pretty good, but, you know, what's the old saying? You know the old saying is don't judge a book by its cover? Yeah. This is one where you gotta really take that into consideration. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. It's pre-Thanksgiving weekend, November 18th, 2016. You know, we don't have any more Hunger Games movies coming out, so what's going to be the next big fantasy blockbuster to come out? How about a return of the Harry Potter franchise with a new spin-off series to Harry Potter in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them? So as the title indicates, the year is 1926, and Newt Scamander, played by Eddie Redmayne, has just completed a global excursion to find and document an extraordinary array of magical creatures. Arriving in New York for a brief stopover, he might have come and gone without incident, were it not for a nomage, American for Muggle, named Jacob, a misplaced magical case, and the escape of some of Newt's fantastic beasts, which could spell trouble for both the wizarding and nomage worlds. And, like I said, this is yet another prequel to a very beloved franchise of films. We've seen this done with Star Wars to minimal success. We've seen it done to Lord of the Rings with success overall. The Hobbit films were okay, but nothing spectacular. And now it's Harry Potter's turn to get in on the fun. Taking place 7 years before the events of the first Harry Potter movie, and with that much of a pedigree on board, you got David Yates back, who directed most of the really good Harry Potter movies, and author J.K. Rowling is coming in to make her screenwriting debut. The cast is really solid. Eddie Redmayne, Catherine Waterston, Colin Farrell, Dan Fogler. We haven't seen him in a long time. The trailers did a pretty good job selling us this new story in the universe of Harry Potter. How could you go wrong on that level? Well, okay, I know the Harry Potter franchise had a long-standing fan base, and I'm not going to go against them by any way, shape, or form. I love the Harry Potter movies. They get better with each and every film that came out. The movies I will not take away from anybody. I'm just going to judge this movie and this new franchise of films on its own merits, and I'm going to let it take away I'm not going to let it take any enjoyment away from anybody from those 8 movies, but with that said, my God, this was a massive disappointment. I mean, just... wow, this was bad. I mean, this is unbelievably underwhelming, and it's a shame because there is so much here that could be exciting and work very well, and some of it does, but the things that make it not work really do hurt it. So let's start with the positives overall, because like I said, the positives are good. The casting is really good here. Like I said, Eddie Redmayne I thought was really good. I've kind of given him a bad rap for the last couple of movies he's been in, but here's a movie where it actually does show he has a lot of potential as an actor. He's been really good in some movies, and this is definitely one of those ones where he's not the problem with the film. Catherine Waterston, the breakout star of both Inherent Vice and Steve Jobs, was really good as Tina Goldston. I really loved Alison Sudol as Queenie. She just seemed like she was having a ball with the role. Finally, somebody's using the Dan Fogler to good use here. He was pretty good as Jacob. You got good performances from Carmen Ejogo as the president, Picuri. Colin Farrell does a pretty good job as Grays, although I'll get into him because he's part of one of the biggest gripes of the film. And even Ezra Miller was pretty good with some effective creepiness to him as Credence, but then again, it's Ezra Miller. I don't think that was him acting. I think that's just him playing himself, but there is a really good cast that pulls the movie through. The creatures overall are really good too. There are a lot of creative ideas of what they could do with these designs. The effects work very well here. I like the idea that, when Newt goes through customs, he's got this bag full of creatures inside of him, but he changes it simply to Muggle-worthy. Instead of opening the thing and getting a bunch of creatures out there, just a normal looking suitcase. That's a pretty cool idea overall, and it's done very well. I thought the creativity on the designs are very handled nicely. The look of the movie is really impressive overall. I mean, it looks incredible. So, yeah, this seems like we're right in the line with the Harry Potter movie. So where does it all go wrong? Try everything else. Because first off, we never really get an understanding of why magic is banned in America. They never explain why it is like this. And they never feel the need to let the audience in on what's going on. Why is everything like this? It helps to explain these things instead of holding that off for future films, which they don't really do a whole lot of that in the other two movies in general. Second, the lame attempts at comedy here are horrendously done. I mean, there can be some genuine laughs here or there, but when you have to resort to gross-out jokes, and not just regular gross-out jokes, these are cheap gross-out jokes. They aren't even trying to be clever about this at all. Third, the story is all over the place. There's way too many changing storylines in the movie. The first part of it is a man with a magical suitcase full of creatures comes to New York. The monsters get loose, and now he's got to find them all. That's fine. Second, there's a world where magic is banned in America, and any element of magic leads to disaster. Okay. Third, there's a group of anti-magic protesters preaching about the existence of witches and other magical people. Okay, what? Fourth, the boy the main protester cares for may or may not be using magical powers for evil. Sure. Fifth, there's a U.S. senator that is against these protesters and that thinks magic doesn't exist, period. We're really stretching the boundaries here, people. Sixth, there's actually a much bigger threat in Gellert Grindelwald. I mean, enough already. This is the first movie, and they've crammed all these different plots in this. There's way too much going on here for one movie, and not only that, it just goes all over the place to the point where they start forgetting their own stuff. The Senator subplot is completely overlooked once he keels over. The Obscurus, how does it escape from Newt's suitcase? We'll never know. We never see how it does, but it just somehow gets away from Newt's suitcase at some point in the movie. The big conflict of the movie is when the president says that if our magic isn't contained and gets out to the No-Mages, we're doomed. Guess what happens? The Obscurus breaks out and starts causing mayhem, and the No-Maj now know what the hell is going on. So, oops. But don't worry, though. We'll have an amnesia rainstorm fall all over the city, so everybody forgets what's just happened. You're just like, where the hell was that early on in this movie? The biggest problem with this movie is that it has an idea that we're going to turn this in. Its idea is that we're going to turn this into a new franchise, so we're going to do whatever it takes to make as many teases and hints to future films as possible. And it's overkill, man. This is more overkill than Amazing Spider-Man 2, Batman v Superman, and Fan Force to combine. That's how bad this is. If there was actually a point in the film that would have been important to have a tease, then I think it would have been okay, but no. They have all these teases for future films that I thought may or may not happen, but they did, and yeah, those teases really didn't mean a whole lot when we got to those later movies. Let me tell you that, but yeah, the biggest thing that really bugged me about this movie was Colin Farrell as Percival Graves. Like I said, he was perfectly fine in the movie, but the movie is so lazy at trying to make you think that he's not the bad guy. The first shot of the movie, they make it so obvious that he's the main villain, they don't even hide it. Even Judge Doom from Who Framed Roger Rabbit would be looking at this dude and just like, dude, you've got to be better than this, man. I mean, nobody didn't figure out I was a tune until the very end of the movie. That's how bad it is. That's how much the writing for this does not give a crap. This is how much J.K. Rowling cares about making a good movie here. She just wanted more money, and that should have been the red flag that something was not right with Denmark with her, but But on top of that, it's bad enough that they make Farrell so obviously the bad guy. But remember Gellert Grindelwald, the Dark Wizard that was mentioned all throughout the film? Well, the guy who was considered to be the serious version of Voldemort? Well, guess what happens at the end? Using a Revello charm, Graves is revealed to be Grindelwald, played by Johnny Depp, the most notorious Dark Wizard in the world. He's arrested and taken back to Makusa. Are you kidding me? So the most notorious Dark Wizard has been all around you this entire time, and yet nobody, absolutely nobody knew about it. Not even Tina's sister Queenie, who can read minds. She can't figure out that this dude was Grindelwald. How dumb are these people? And not only that, it's a stupid way to bring this story full circle, and it makes absolutely no sense. Not once in this movie, except for the opening, is Grindelwald mentioned in detail. So why does this ending feel like it was put in and thrown at the last minute? Guess what? That's exactly what happened. They deliberately put this scene in at the last minute to get Johnny Depp to appear in a cameo for future films in the series, because heaven forbid we need to give Johnny Depp yet another franchise to completely ruin. I mean, not only that, but because Depp and Farrell also played the same person in the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus with Jude Law, well, coincidentally, would later join this series as Dumbledore. So it's a Dr. Parnassus reunion, except Dr. Parnassus was a great movie. These are not. You know, I mean, it just feels so odd and bizarre to do this. Like, they saw Dr. Parnassus and said, you know, what an idea. We'll throw it into our movie because clearly we should not let people go see that movie. No. We've got to put it in our movie because they'll come to see it. It's Harry Potter, motherfuckers. The ending really made me mad for just how lazy and uninspired it was, and it was one of the many reasons why this train wreck of a movie failed so miserably. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is yet another misfire from Warner Brothers trying to find that next big franchise, and that's part of the reason why the movie fails so much. 75% of this movie is nothing but tease the franchise, the potential franchise, with stuff that's going to happen potentially in future movies. The whole movie comes off as nothing but a cash grab, and it overshadows the thing that made the movie work: the casting, the visuals, the creatures. None of that really matters if the whole movie doesn't come together. It fails because of a bad script with too many subplots and plot canyons and holes, too many stupid twisted turns, a bad ending that was thrown together at the last minute just to get a cameo for more teasing. The whole movie is a fucking cock tease for future films. That may or may not have actually happened, which they did, but you're going to wish they didn't. It was the second biggest budget misfire for Warner Brothers this year after Batman v Superman, which wasn't as catastrophic or disastrous as that movie was, but this was pretty damn close. But Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, just, yeah, what a disaster. What a colossal misfire this movie was. So, anyway, let's go ahead and let's get to some positive movies here. We have at least one to look at first, but we'll have some other ones later on down the road. But this definitely is a nice palate cleanser after Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Haley Steinfeld in The Edge of 17.
Awkward.
No matter what your version of the perfect classic comedy is, The Edge of 17 has been compared to all of them.
Wake up, you had a brain operation. They made you pleasant and agreeable.
Juby made him so hot.
You can grow it out. Are you even up there?
The Edge of 17, rated R.
And then 10 years later, she turned into a sex-crazed vampire in Sinners, and I think we can all be grateful for that, because, yeah, she has definitely gotten a whole lot hotter since this movie. But hey, this is a good movie. I mean, those praises for John Hughes films of the past were rightfully given for this movie, because yeah, this film definitely deserves that praise. Everyone knows that growing up is hard, and life is no easier for high school junior Nadine, Haley Steinfeld, who is already at peak awkwardness with her all-star older brother Darian, played by Blake Jenner, starting to date her best friend Krista, played by Haley Lou Richardson from Pony's Person of No Interest. All at once, Nadine feels more alone than ever until the unexpected friendship of a thoughtful boy, played by Hayden Seto, S-Z-E-T-O, I know I'm pronouncing that last name incorrectly, gives her a glimmer of hope that things just might not be so terrible after all. And like I said, this movie does live up to that hype of being a coming-of-age classic for this generation. I mean, this definitely is a film that is up there with films like Clueless, Mean Girls, Juno, John Hughes' classic films, 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, The Breakfast Club, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, you name it. Like, this movie definitely does feel like a good coming-of-age movie that doesn't feel like it's trying to force itself that way. The film is really good at it, and it hopes that you have a lot of good actors involved with this. Haley Steinfeld, Haley Lee Richardson showing their young potential early on. You got veteran talents like Woody Harrelson and Kira Sedgwick in here. Woody Harrelson was really good in this film. It's a really good movie. It's a film directed by Kelly Freeman Craig, who really has not done a whole lot since then. She did Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, which was not a bad movie overall. I mean, it was okay. It was not good. It was not as good as this one, but she did other things. Like, she did a couple of rewrites for Scoob. She did a rewrite for Bumblebee, which coincidentally also features Haley Steinfeld. I mean, she's a really good filmmaker overall. I mean, coming 7 years after Postgrad, which was such a disastrous movie in general, with how they tried to show you what life is like if you think you got it all after college, and you really don't. And the way they do it is pretty stupid. But here, this is the exception. This is completely not that movie. This is a film that works because the actors are so game. Everybody in here plays their parts very well. It's a showcase for Steinfeld, showing what her potential as an actress in general. And yeah, like I said, 10 years later, she become one of the best actresses out there. I mean, she's really good in this. She really is the thing that is the glue holding this thing together. It's a really good movie. It's a film I can't recommend enough. If you love the old school John Hughes classic coming of age films of the 80s, this is the film that definitely you need to see. It's definitely worth it. I really like it a lot. The Edge of 17, top-notch film. One of the year's most underrated gems. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get to our next movie, which is Miles Teller starring in Bleed for This.
Say with any certainty you're going to walk again.
I need you to start training me. What are you trying to prove?
I can't be part of you getting hurt no more.
You just don't know how to give up. I know exactly how to give up. It's easy. I'm gonna fight again.
Bleed for This. Rated R.
I don't think I've ever seen a commercial for television with a little tease at the beginning, like a little 5-second teaser telling you to keep watching. Like, you see that with long trailers, but I have never seen that before for a TV spot. You even saw me in the reflection while I was recording that, putting my hand out like, oh, what the hell am I even looking at here? But anyway, this is Bleed for This. In November 1988, Vinny Pazienza boxes Roger Mayweather for the WBC World Light Welterweight title. He arrives late to the weigh-in as he has been riding a stationary bicycle in order to make the weight limit. Vinny's final weight is 140 pounds even, which qualifies him for the fight. Instead of resting up for the fight, Vinny spends the night at the casino following day. He loses to Mayweather, and at one point during the fight, Vinny is hit after the bell. His boxing manager, Lou Duva, causes a scene by going after Mayweather, but is punched as a result. Following the match, Duva tells the media that Vinny should retire from boxing. This angers Vinny's father, Angelo, who serves as his coach, as he confronts Duva. In the ensuing argument, Vinny announces that he wants another fight and hires Kevin Rooney as his coach. So, as I said, Miles Teller plays the character of Vinny, because I literally just forgot the pronunciation of this name. But you also have Aaron Eckhart playing Kevin Rooney, Katie Seagal and Kieran Hines play his parents, Ted Levine, Amanda Clayton, Christina Evangelista. This is written and directed by Ben Younger, who is actually a pretty solid director, who I've seen a couple of his movies, Boiler Room and Prime. Both were very good movies, and I was actually kind of surprised that, yeah, this movie actually was really good. It was actually a well-made film. And it was one of those movies that I kind of thought kind of came and went. And it did, because it was not a big hit overall. It only cost $16 million, but only brought in $7 million and didn't get any awards consideration. It was kind of a film that was just kind of pushed off to the side. And I always thought it was one of those movies that was trying so hard to be kind of like the other movie we looked at earlier this year, Hands of Stone, which was not a very good movie. And I thought, okay, it's going to be this type of film, but no, this actually proved to be much better than I thought it was going to be. It actually is a well-made boxing movie, and it does show Miles Teller's real potential as a leading actor in general. He knocks it out of the park in this. All the performances are really good. The fight scenes are well done. This is actually a really good movie that I really don't think a lot of people really know about. And yeah, it's one I would definitely recommend checking out if you haven't seen it, because it is definitely worth the watch. Yeah, one of those big surprises I did not see coming at all. Bleed for This actually is a very good film. One that definitely deserves to be watched, no question about it. So let's finally get to some awards contenders. I mean, we're only 6 weeks away from the start of the new year, and we're just getting now, in the last couple of weeks, to some of the new contenders. I think the only one we had was Moonlight, but now we have 2 other ones here that were Oscar contenders, starting with our first one here, Amy Adams and her second movie in 2 weeks, Nocturnal Animals.
Sent me this book that he's written. It's violent and it's sad. And he dedicated it to me. I did something horrible to him.
When you love someone, you have to be careful with it. Nobody gets away with what she did. Nobody.
So that's why she doesn't have a husband and a rival. I mean, that's the only way I could compare. That's the only reason I made that joke, because Arrival literally came out the week before. But if you even want to call that a joke. But this is based off of a novel called Tony and Susan, and it follows an art gallery owner, played by Adams, who reads the new novel written by her first husband, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, and begins to see the similarities between it and their former relationship. And in addition to Adams and Gyllenhaal, you also have Michael Shannon, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Isla Fisher, Ellie Bamber, Armie Hammer, Laura Linney, Andrea Riceborough, and Michael Sheen among the cast. Yeah, you got both Michael Shannon and Michael Sheen, so you don't have to worry about to getting them both confused in this movie, because they're both in here, but because of their names. But this is a pretty good movie from a director that I didn't think his first movie was all that great. A Single Man was the first movie he directed, Tom Ford. But this is a film that I thought worked very well. I thought it worked because it was a really good psychological neo-noir thriller that works very well to show Amy Adams in a role that we're not used to seeing her playing, a much darker role than usual. And again, kind of surprising she did not get an Oscar nomination for this. The only Oscar nomination this thing got was for Michael Shannon, who had been nominated a couple years prior to this for Revolutionary Road. But this is a really good movie in general. I mean, it's a very good film. Great cinematography by Seamus McGarvey. Some pretty good music by Abel Korzanowski. A really solid film. A really intense film overall. It never feels like it's overstaying its welcome. It's a very solid film overall. One I do recommend checking out. If you haven't seen Nocturnal Animals, definitely check it out. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, a movie that was also another Oscar contender and actually won an Oscar for its star Casey Affleck. This is Manchester by the Sea.
America's top critics rave. Manchester by the Sea is a masterpiece. Powerful, emotional filmmaking. Michelle Williams is stunning.
My heart was broken, and I know yours is broken too.
And Casey Affleck delivers an Oscar-caliber performance. Time magazine says it's not to be missed. From producer Matt Damon comes the film that's certified fresh with an incredible Rotten Tomatoes score. Manchester by the Sea, written and directed by Kenneth Lonergan, rated R.
Yeah, there is a lot to talk about with Casey Affleck from Manchester by the Sea, and not really for the performance itself, but we'll delve into that later on. But you got to keep in mind that this was just before the Me Too movement started to take effect, and you know, there was those allegations that came out about Affleck way back in 2010 where 2 of his former co-workers, when he worked on that movie with Joaquin Phoenix, I'm Still Here, filed civil lawsuits suing him for $2 million for multiple complaints, including sexual harassment. And then 6 years later, when this was coming out, they came back into play here, and Affleck tried to play it down by saying, you know, it was settled to the satisfaction of all. I was hurt and upset, and I'm sure all were, but I am over it. It was an unfortunate situation, mostly for the innocent bystanders of the families of those involved. And this was unfortunately something that just plagued him all over the Academy Awards season. He did win several awards, and even if you watch him receiving the Academy Award, even Brie Larson, when she read the name, like, she had this look on her face like, you gotta be kidding me. It didn't feel like it was a weird situation. I mean, this isn't like when, you know, Carlos Sofia, the woman from Emilia Perez, Carlos Sofia Gascon? This happened less than a year ago, and I can't even remember it. I was right, Carlos Sofia Gascon. This is like what would have happened. This is like the whole Emilia Perez controversy, except this time around she didn't win. But that time around she didn't win, but this time he did. And yeah, it was a very interesting situation here. It felt like, as you could tell when that name was revealed, like Brie Larson had this look on her face, like she did not want to do this, but she really didn't have a choice. And of course, because of the Me Too movement that later grew the following year, he actually didn't return to present the Best Actress nomination for Best Actress Award, which usually happens to the Best Actor winner. But he's still continued to work since then. He's been in some other movies. He's been in some films that actually have been pretty good. I mean, he's not a bad actor. He's sadly in the same position that somebody like Kevin Spacey is, except he's nowhere near as crazy as Kevin Spacey is. Because, yeah, Kevin Spacey is one of our greatest actors, but when he's not acting, he made himself look like a fool. But this movie in particular, Affleck definitely deserved to win. And Denzel Washington, I think, would have been a second runner-up. This was a pretty good slate of people nominated. Him, Casey Affleck winning Denzel Washington, Andrew Garfield for Hacksaw Ridge, Ryan Gosling for La La Land. There was a lot of good people nominated this year. But I could see why he won this award. Revolving around the themes of depression, guilt, grief, responsibility, dysfunctional families, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder. The plot follows a depressed and grief-stricken man who becomes the legal guardian of his teenage nephew after the death of his brother. Michelle Williams also stars alongside Kyle Chandler and Lucas Hedges. And yeah, the movie overall is really solid. It is a very good movie. Is it Oscar baity? Yeah, it is, but at the same time, it works. It's a film that works because the characters are well written by the writer-director Kenneth Lonergan, who won an Oscar for the screenplay for this, and well deserved. The performances overall are really good. Everybody plays their parts very well. Michelle Williams, I thought, was great in this movie, but unfortunately, she was in the same category as Emma Stone from La La Land, and yeah, Emma Stone was pretty much a lock to win that award if you watch that film, but yeah, Casey Affleck is a really good actor, and he shows it here. He is somebody that definitely deserved to win this award. I thought he was very good in this. He plays his part very well. That great scene where he and Michelle Williams are talking is very well done. It's a very effective scene. It's not written in a dumbed down way to the audience. It's a very good scene in general. It delivers what it's supposed to do. It's a very solid performance overall. It's a very good movie. It's a well-made film. I enjoy it. There's a lot of controversies behind Casey Affleck in particular, but give credit where credit is due. He is good. He is good playing the role in here. He's very good. He deserved to win the award. I thought it was a very good performance. I thought it was a very good film. I do recommend it. If you haven't seen Manchester by the Sea, definitely check it out. It's definitely worth a watch. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies. We take a look at Thanksgiving weekend and the last weekend of November to wrap up the month. With the biggest new release, of course, being Disney's latest animated feature, Moana, a movie so popular that they aren't even waiting 10 years to give us the live-action remake this summer. But that aside, the animated movie is great. We'll talk about that one. We'll talk about Robert Zemeckis' latest film, Allied, with Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard, in a movie that was, I guess, trying to do the same thing 11 years prior to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, where it was trying to start this thing between Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard, where they having a secret relationship when Pitt was still with Angelina Jolie. Didn't help the movie in the end, but we'll see. But we'll see if it actually how it turned out next time around. We'll take a look at hey everybody, it's another comedy sequel nobody was asking for. Billy Bob Thornton returning 13 years after the original Bad Santa in Bad Santa 2. We also have Warren Beatty back on the big screen with Rules Don't Apply, and neither does a good movie because we'll touch on that next time around. We also have Lion, starring Dev Patel, along with many other people, and also Jessica Chastain, starring in Miss Sloane. So, 6 movies overall to wrap November up. We'll take a look at them all coming up tomorrow on the show, so stay tuned for that. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.